and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Tandy. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we're going to be talking about therapy. Now for myself, I personally enjoy therapy, but I'm hoping that today in this video we can dive a little bit deeper on why therapy can or may not be beneficial to you.
Let me help you understand why therapy is so important, okay? Listen, if you lose your hair, there's a technology out there that can bring you some hair back. If you lose your hearing, there's a device out there that can help you hear again to some extent. If you lose your teeth, there's orthodontists and dentists all over the world that can help you smile again. If you lose your eyesight, there's some scientists out there that's created such a great technology to allow you to see some image again. If you lose any one of your limbs, there are prosthetics all over the world, come in all shapes and sizes. But if you lose your mind, you lose control of everything. So therapy allows you to regain your strength to handle what you've been through so that you don't lose your mind. That's why you need therapy.
And there you have it, folks. And honestly, everything that gentleman said in his video is exactly the reason why I decided to put myself through therapy, because the mind is so powerful. I mean, we literally have the power to manifest anything that we want in life. And with a tool that powerful, the brain, the mind, we have to take care of it. And I definitely see the value in my mental health. I'm hoping that by the end of this video, you can see the value in yours if you don't already. But this next video is going to explain some reasons why therapy may or may not be a good fit for someone.
Did you know that therapy doesn't always work? Shocker! Here are my top 4 reasons why therapy may not be working for you. 1. You just don't want to be there, or you've been forced. So a family member has intervened and said, hey, or a loved one, and said, hey, you got some issues you need to sort out. You need to get your ass to therapy, or it's court mandated. Or whatever reason that you've been forced to go to therapy and you're sitting in that room and you just blatantly do not want to be there, therapy's not going to work. 2, you don't like your therapist, or your therapist is giving you some red flags. If you haven't watched my video, Red Flag Therapy, go back into my profile and give that a watch, find out what red flags you
I mean, think about it though. Like, how you gonna be able to be vulnerable and begin working on the healing if you're not even comfortable around the person that you're supposed to open up to? So it's definitely important to have a therapist that, you know, you vibe with, for sure. That is the number one thing I can recommend if you are somebody who is trying to get into therapy, but it just hasn't worked for you. Definitely make sure that you have a therapist that you vibe with.
can get from a therapist. If you're sitting in there though and you're getting bad vibes from your therapist, or you just really just don't like them, you haven't built any connection, trust, or rapport with your therapist, therapy is not going to work. It's okay to find another therapist. 3, you're not putting in the work. So a lot of therapists, myself included, give some of their clients homework to take home, and it kind of looks like this. And excuse me, my printer decided to shit itself, but here's an example that I wrote out. So if you wanted to get to the bottom of your anxiety or whatever it may be, I give my clients homework to take home. What is the trigger? What were you feeling? What was the time? What was the exact situation where the trigger happened? And on a scale of 1 to 10, how were you feeling? What was your anxiety? So if you're taking that home and you're not doing it and you're coming back to therapy and your homework isn't done, then we're never going to get to the bottom of how you feel this way, and you're never going to heal, and you're never going to get anything out of therapy. So therapy will not work. 4, the therapist's approach isn't right for you. What is an approach? Well, it's the kind of style that the therapist uses. My approach is person-centered therapy as well as CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. And while every single approach is valid and can work, it doesn't work for every single individual person. We're all completely different, and what we experience in the therapy room is completely different. But if you're feeling like the therapist's approach isn't working for you and you're not healing, you're not seeing a difference, or you're not getting anything out of therapy, It's okay to find yourself a different therapist with an approach that works for you. If the approach doesn't work or isn't working, therapy isn't going to work. I hope you like these 4 reasons why therapy may not be working for you. There are other reasons, and if for some reason therapy isn't working for you and you want to find out why, feel free to message me and we can have a discussion and we can get to the bottom of why therapy may not be working for you.
All of those are very valid reasons as to why therapy may not be working for you. But at the end of the day, if you are somebody who wants to heal but are kind of struggling along the way and relate to any one of those reasons that this woman has stated, then definitely make sure that you try to find someone else. It is okay to try to find another therapist. Or maybe also too, you can accept the fact that, hey, maybe you work better alone. Maybe you can do the work on yourself alone. There's also other tools that you can use for therapy, such as journaling, okay? And you can either do it digitally or, get the old school pen and paper out, right? There are so many ways that we can work on our mental health. And I just hope that this video inspires you, if you haven't already, to start on your mental health journey. But let's check out this next video, because this person is going to tell us exactly what they learned in therapy.
I used to think that my relationship with my mom had nothing to do with my long-term relationships with women that I date. And my relationship with my mom always been pretty bad, for as long as I can remember. And then as soon as I graduated high school, she pretty much kicked me out. And to this day, it's still not right. It's still not a good situation. Hopefully we work on it. But one thing I learned in therapy, I was dealing with a chick, and I felt like her actions wasn't matching her words. I felt like, she's saying she loved me, this, that, but I felt like she wasn't treating our situation properly, loving me properly, doing, the things that I feel like she needs to be doing. And I equated it to like, man, this bitch don't really love me for real. So I'm talking to my therapist about it, and me and the girl would have conversations, and she would explain why she do certain things or why she move a certain way. And I just wasn't trying to hear it. It just all sounded like bullshit to me. But when I talked to my therapist about it, my therapist was like, why, like, how do you feel when she explained these things to you? And I'm like, man, it all sounds like bullshit. She was like, but is it logical what she's saying? I'm like, it's logical, but I just don't, like, I ain't trying to hear that. If you love a motherfucker, you're not gonna move like that. And she's like, start giving me other examples where, like, if she didn't love you, why would she do this? Look at the things that she is doing. And my therapist told me, I don't think this is about love or a lack of love. She might not know how to love you properly. She might be making mistakes, but she clearly loves you. And I'm just like, nah, I'm not trying to hear that. And my therapist broke it down to me like, man, listen, your mom didn't love you properly. You never got an explanation as to why she didn't love you properly. You've been looking for that answer through the women that you date. So when a woman puts you in a position where you feel like she doesn't love you or she does things wrong, you equate it to her not loving you. And no matter what she explains as to why she did what she did, you won't accept the answer because you're looking for the answer from your mother. So you think you're arguing with your girlfriend, but you're really arguing with your mother, and your girlfriend will never had those answers.
Hello. I'm glad that young man is in therapy, because wow. He's got some trauma to unpack there, some healing to do himself. And that is the best part of therapy, is being able to identify, flaws that we have within ourselves, so that way we can address and fix them, so we can be the best versions of ourselves. And oftentimes that comes with solitude, so being alone and being, with your thoughts, with yourself, so that you can truly understand who you are and become a better person. But I think it's also good to note that we shouldn't use that as a weapon. And I can't really articulate what I mean by that, but this next video, it's a 2-part video. They are going to be able to explain it a lot more, so let's watch.
Have you ever seen those videos where people joke and say that they've healed so much that they now don't have any friends and go to bed at 7 o'clock? Which it's funny because it's relatable and sad. I've been thinking about that like crazy lately. I think anyone who goes through a significant healing journey has that solitude phase. But some people get stuck there, and I got stuck there for a while, and let me tell you why I felt like it was so important to get out of it. It seemed like the more that I healed, the less people that I could talk to, or if I'm being completely honest, tolerate, because I felt like I had this expectation that whoever was going to be in my life had to be on my level, like had to do the deep work that I'm doing, think the same way that I'm thinking, and not trigger any of the stuff that I've been working on to heal. But if my healing was really that fragile, is it actually healed? Because then I realized that I hadn't actually healed, I'd only come halfway, and that I need to go full circle into being able to integrate with other people again. One of these aha moments came while I was watching the show Alone. I'm sure there's an anthropology expert that can explain this better, but just from watching that show, it's so clear that as a species, we are not meant to exist in isolation. Even if you live alone, for you to just sit at home, probably hundreds of thousands of people had to do something for you to sit in your home by yourself. Did you invent your phone? Did you build your couch? Did you grow your food? Did you go travel with buckets to get your own water? Literally, just to exist right now, so many people had to do so many things for you to just be where you are. And so I think this idea that you can just like be by yourself and isolate because that's where you feel the safest and, you know, where you can heal, I think that's a fallacy, because we heal more through other people than we can just by ourselves, because other people are a reflection to us of who we are. Have revealed things that I've needed to heal that I would have had no idea, no access to, no amount of understanding, because they are reflecting my weaknesses back to me. How often do we grow intolerant of people around us because they trigger the stuff in us that needs to heal, that we need to address. Right. In order to come full circle in our healing, we have to be able to reintegrate community back into our lives. I hold a personal belief that suffering is wasted unless you use that to turn around and help other people. And how selfish is it to go through a healing process that at some point was modeled to you, or you were inspired by someone to heal, and to not turn around and share and model that for other people, right? Because if you're just in isolation, you're just taking that and keeping it all to yourself. And I saw a video on here where, you know, the community size that is recommended is like between a 50 and 100 or whatever. But I think it's interesting because in that bigger number, what are the odds that you're going to completely vibe with every single person in that group? Which means that that gives you space to grow and be tolerant of people that don't think like you. And I don't know, I think there's power to that. There's power in being able to exist peacefully in that kind of setting. That's a piece that I felt like was missing for a long time, and I've been thinking about that.
I love what that lady just said. I mean, she definitely hit on a lot of good talking points. Doing the work is hard, okay? It is hard. When you're doing that work, you have to essentially isolate yourself, but think about, like she said, you know, all the people who needed to come together in order to allow you the space and opportunity to be alone. I mean, just think about all of the items that you use and how they were created by other people, or how it got shipped to you to the store. It took a lot more people other than yourself to get there. So that should just tell us that we have to interact, and we as humans, you know, we are social beings. We yearn that connection, and I know I consider myself an introverted extrovert, because although I can and do enjoy being around other people, I also do love my alone time. I think that there's beauty in the balance of it. It is such a turn on whenever you see your own growth. You know, it's like, oh wow, I am no longer that person anymore. Sometimes I even tell myself that in the moment, like, wow, I love that for you, Tandy. You know, you have to put yourself in situations with others so that you can be a better person. You can apply those knowledgeable skills or experiences that you went through. Healing is a journey, okay?
Yo, my friends, especially like my homegirls, they be like, man, like, why you so picky? You know, you didn't used to be this picky or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, sis, I told my sis last night, I said, the reason I'm so picky now is because when you actually heal Like when you actually do the internal work, you know what I'm saying, and you deal with all the things that you're dealing with as an individual, you can see when somebody else hasn't, bro. It don't matter how fine, it don't matter how much money, it don't matter how much access, you know what I'm saying? None of that matter, because when you get healed, bro, you're so grateful for the peace that you're providing yourself. You don't got no time to let nobody in that's gonna mess up your frequency that you earned on your own.
Hello?
You feel me? And it's like, you get really picky because you just be like, nah, they gonna mess up my healing frequency.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They gonna mess up what I put the work in to build within myself. And I don't have time for no confusion. I don't have time for no miscommunication. I don't have time for the call back after 2 hours, text back after. I don't have time for none of that, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm healed and I'm happy within myself. You know what I mean? And you just start evaluating people based on their healing processes versus their physical attractiveness or mental attractiveness or spiritual whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's a different conversation with a healed person versus an unhealed person. It's a different conversation between a whole person and a broken person than a whole person and a whole person. And when you have that frequency, you feel it and you know. And even if it doesn't work, you're good because you know you're by yourself, you're healed. So you don't care if somebody does or doesn't come.
Right, you good,
That's
right?
it. That's the post.
Listen, healing is definitely sexy. I mean, like the gentleman said, you can always tell how far somebody is in their own healing space. I've definitely been in situations where I've noticed that I am in a certain place in my own healing journey versus someone else, and that's where you gotta understand, hey, that just means we not compatible right now. If that person comes back into your life and they're in a different place, then they're in a different place at that time. Just right now, though, it's not giving what it needs to. And that other person can be not in that particular space where you are for a number of reasons. I mean, therapy might not even work for them, you know? Maybe they're doing the internal work all on their own because they're the type of person who works best alone. Because that's okay too. The human species is just so fascinating because we are all different and we are all unique in the sense of how we think. So I think we have to be able to allow people grace if therapy isn't the right thing for them. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. If you like this video or found it helpful in any way, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Make sure that you are subscribed to my channel, okay? Especially if you made it all the way to the end, you might as well subscribe. Hit the post notification bell so that you can be notified of my future uploads. I hope to see you soon. Bye.
You got me